Well, good morning and welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder, and this is BRN AM for Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. And here are our top stories. Tech leaders map out a post-pandemic return to the workplace, and kids are gaming more than ever. Should adults be joining them? Well, joining me now, Daniel Klein, Senior Technology and Consumer Products Reporter with The Motley Fool. Dan, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to see you and nice to see you in your co-working space or your shared space. How do you describe that space?
It's a really funky co-working space. It's not like the typical ones. It's very not corporate. If you can see, I have sort of the British phone booth door. The walls are tin. They sort of redo the space. My wall is only 3/4 high. And as people need it, they kind of rebuild the space. It's in the warehouse district of West Palm Beach, which when I moved here 3 years ago had nothing. Now has a thriving food market, obviously not thriving at the moment, though some places are doing delivery, a co-work, there's an indoor soccer facility next to me, there's an auto place that does like fancy muscle cars. So it really took an area of town and absolutely revitalized it. And now there's actually some hip upscale apartments slated to be built.
Well, that's great. And I think before all this, the co-share, the workspaces were on the rise, although I think that there were some, I think we work with one that was having some problems. But Dan, I want to talk to you about getting back to work because some of the states are talking about opening things up. We've been quarantined, a lot of us, for a long period of time. I'm in the New York area, as you know. Things are really different here, perhaps in some parts of the country, but we're starting to get back to work. And it looks like technology workers, so those that work in IT, are going to be the first among us to go back to work.
Yeah, it's going to be a very staggered start. And technology workers are going to have to go back to work to sort of firm up the infrastructure to allow companies to let people back, but on a staggered basis. So imagine we're doing all these Zoom networks. We're all using our home internet. But you start putting a bunch of people in an office that have to do, maybe there's 20 simultaneous Zoom meetings going on in your office because only 1/4 of the people are physically there. So that's going to create pressure. There's going to be security issues. You have to manage your network. There are more security issues when someone's on a computer connected to their office server than there is when we're all on our individual computers at home. So the tech workers are going to go back and figure that out. They're also going to figure out procedures for cleaning devices. You're going to see maintenance workers go back and set up, sanitation stations. The one thing I didn't agree with in this article we read that you sent me to talk about this is they use the word permanent. Nothing that's happening now is permanent. I am not a doomer and gloomer. I understand coronavirus could be with us a long time. It also could not be. It's also possible that we find a medical cure or that there is a vaccine, and they're saying 12 to 18 months. But I have kind of a lot of faith in science. And while I don't think it's going to be tomorrow, I also think 12 months might be pushing it. So these are the new now, but this is not the new forever. And I think it's important for everyone to remember that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess this is like an intermediary step to getting people back to work. And you've got to think through some of these things. I do think it's in some ways a lot of overreaction or different expectations that we have to work through as our experience level enhances and increases. But, things like you mentioned this, washing your hands or your devices. If you have a mouse, if you have and I've got my phone right in our studio, these are things that probably need to be sanitized. They should have been sanitized, Dan, regularly, but they should be sanitized. And you have to be wary that you don't burn it out and break the device. And I think that's a concern.
Yeah, I know that I've stopped licking my phone, based on all the reports here. No, it's of course not licking your phone. It's touching your phone and then scratching your eye or, well, don't scratch your eye, but, inadvertently touching the inside of your eye or your nose or your mouth or whatever it is. Yeah, I think we might see UV light sanitation stations at some bigger companies, which probably were a good idea for your phone anyway. Yeah. There's obviously going to be a supply lag. I know that, when I get to my car, I have a decent supply of wipes and hand sanitizer. And if I use a wipe, I'll wipe my hands, I'll wipe down my phone, I'll wipe my car. I looked up whether that particular wipe was safe for my phone, and it is. I'm not sure I'd want to use it every day, but it makes sense to do that. Frankly, my computer screens are pretty gross anyway. I've been using a jewelry cleaner on my screen. And now I've looked up, well, what's a safe sanitizing one? And again, I'm not paranoid. Don't Lysol your groceries. Don't spray down your deliveries. We've talked about this before. That is not necessary. But your everyday device that might have gone from an uncontaminated place to a contaminated place, if you wash down your desk, that's not something you have to do every 10 minutes. It's something you could just make part of your routine, once a day. And we're going to have the workers go back to facilitate that. And then we're going to figure out, okay, like my team, maybe the video producers will go back first to open up our studio, so some of our shows can be done with at least one of the hosts in a proper studio.
Right.
And that's two people with a wall of glass between them that are like 20 feet apart. So that's reasonable social distancing as long as you plan the ins and outs of the room, no problem. Some things like we have a coffee maker at work. Like, well, are we going to go to disposable cups, or is it going to be you have to bring your mug from home, or are we going to assign mugs at Motley Fool? We have a random hodgepodge of mugs. Nobody sat down and bought 60 Motley Fool mugs. It's like people over the years left their mug from home, and it's a really random collection. So are you going to have to put your name on one and clean it yourself, or is the cleaning service at night going to handle that, or what? Those procedures need to happen. And then, you will start seeing maybe some teams will say, okay, a third of your team can come in Monday and Wednesday, because there's a reason to be at your desk. There's stuff you have at the office. I'm lucky that I work for a company that we could be fully remote forever. And it as long as we had annual gatherings and did some in-person meetings, it really wouldn't impact our business. That's not true at a lot of businesses. My wife works for a nonprofit, that deals with sort of making after-school care better. And obviously they need daycares to be open in order to get to do more research. And in-person meetings are somewhat important. It's really hard to do a digital focus group. Not that you can't, but it's difficult. So you're going to see a gradual return.
Yeah, and Dan, I just want people to know that I have extremities below the waist, right? I have legs, and people can, I am wearing jeans today, but it would be nice for people, and I definitely can't bring my legs up. I need to work on my stretching. But I think you're right. It's about getting back to work, some level of normalcy. We had a patchwork quilt when it came to some of the technological innovations people are using, like Zoom and Skype and some of the other alternatives. And those things need to be kind of solidified to prevent the things that we've talked about before, cybercrime, data breaches, et cetera. Dan, I want to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to go to a more fun topic, I think, and that is kids and computer gaming, and should adults be doing it too? So stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
The windows on our homes, they protect us and the ones we love, but they do much more. At Renewal by Andersen, making your home more comfortable is at the center of every window we make. It's why we custom build our windows in America and install them in as little as 1 day. It's why we build our frames with exclusive Fibrex composite material that's 2 times stronger than vinyl It's why our glass helps keep your home warmer in winter, cooler in summer, and quieter all year long. It's why we stand behind every window with a 20-year limited warranty. Why not help lower your energy costs while giving your home and family the best? Call 1-800-835-6525 to schedule a free in-home consultation. Buy one, get one at 40% off with this special offer. Plus, get special financing with no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for 1 full year. Renewal by Andersen, the better way to a better window. Call 1-800-835-6525 now.
Welcome back. We're talking to Daniel Klein, Senior Technology and Consumer Products Reporter with The Motley Fool. Dan, thanks so much for sticking around with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So we had a great segment about getting back to work, but a lot of us still will remain quarantined for a period of time with our families, especially young children. And it seems like gaming, everywhere I turn, Dan, gaming is on the rise. We got Major League Baseball players gaming. We got Wayne Gretzky and Alexander Ovechkin gaming for charity. And we've got NFL players gaming. But kids are doing more and more of this, and it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, any distraction. So I'm going to start this out by saying, parents, forgive yourself. It is very difficult, especially if you have younger kids. The pressure of homeschooling. I have a 16-year-old. All I basically have to do is go in after the fact and see if he went to his classes and did his work
they told
and
the,
yell
they,
appropriately.
They told the
and
kids
frankly,
that
I
the
don't
grades
care that much, but I have to pretend I do because they already told us the grades don't count, so they maybe shouldn't have told the kids that.
Yes, she is amazing.
Yeah, and so the idea of this is just sort of maintenance learning, and really, and I understand that some people don't have an internet connection, some people, the school was handing out laptops, but obviously some people don't live in situations that are conducive to this. I understand that. They could have not said anything and then just made the grades not count. But that said, all of my friends with younger kids are super stressed out. Some of them have to work from home, and they have to balance, getting like a 7-year-old to do online learning when they can't necessarily handle the computer or the devices themselves. And what I spent a long time last night in a text chain with a friend who is an amazing writer. Actually, you've had Maury Backman on. And Maury has 3 young kids, and it's a lot of pressure. And she feels stressed out that she's not working enough, stressed out that she's not doing enough with the kids at school. And then when the kids want to play outside, they're very lucky they have a big backyard. They live in a cul-de-sac, so there's a lot of ability to ride bikes and play outside, that she's not giving them enough time to do that. And I kind of sat her down and I said, it's okay. Do the best you can by everybody. And if you don't work as much, well, no one's going to get that mad. If the kids don't do that well at school, they'll do fine next year. So to every parent, I understand the pressure, but this isn't on your permanent record. Even if the grades count, if your kid has a weird dip in grades during the pandemic, I'm pretty sure Harvard's going to understand that. This is one where I am a big believer. School just isn't that important. There are lots of other ways to learn. Some people do really well in school, and that's how they learn. I'm not that type of person. I've done really well in work, in life, and I gain knowledge other ways. It's okay to forgive, and if that means playing more video games, which is something my son has absolutely done, that's okay, because we are stuck in our houses, and any bit of joy should be clung to.
75% is the number that gaming is up, Dan, and it's also a great social, there's a sense of community. So when I was watching, before we did the show, I was watching a video or a stream that was recorded of 2 NFL players that were playing each other in NFL 20 or 19, whatever, maybe it's 20. And you could see their faces and they were kind of interacting with each other. And I think it's actually a good way to stay connected with people when you can't be face to face. I mean, yes, the kids are FaceTiming, but it actually gives them, it's almost like, gym class when we were kids, except you're not actually doing the physical playing with the ball.
Yeah, my son has done that. He plays Magic the Gathering, which is a card game. And he's done everything from playing games online where there's a camera on every person and you're laying out your cards for the other people to see. To he'll watch other people play so he can learn, what's going. He'll watch YouTube tutorials. And to me, that's a little bit of education as well. This isn't a particularly easy game. And I'm not saying your kids staying up all night playing NBA 2K is the norm, but right now, giving them the release is okay. And I've tried. I so want to play video games, and I'm just so bad at it. I buy every new Star Wars game, and I get stuck on the opening scene where they're trying to teach you how to go up and down. I don't have the dexterity for the new controllers that have 7,500 buttons. But that said, I have an Oculus Go. It's a headset, you put on, and you could do things like virtual reality hang glide and hit different targets, or virtual reality, check out some scenery. And it's cool. It's fun. And if I spend more time doing that now, that's okay, because there is a lot of stress on everyone. So, and I've said to my son, I'm very lucky. I am working not only as much, I am working more. I am one of the few people making more money during the pandemic, and my wife is working as well. So I've said to my son, if you want a video game, ask, because I'm not spending money on the 5,000 other things I'd be spending money on normally. So I think anything that brings you relaxation within norms. During the week, don't let your kid play 16 hours of video games and not sleep. But if your kid
Go ahead.
Probably always good advice.
Yeah.
But if on a weekend, that's how they're interacting with their friends, a lot of these video games, you're wearing a headset, you're talking to your friends, I think that's okay. I mean, we make my son take a walk every day just to go outside, which he started actually doing without us on his own. So, he sort of realized it's probably good to be outside and wants to go. But we're not putting a ton of pressure on any specific activity other than, paying some lip service to the few hours a day he's supposed to be doing school stuff.
And, washing his hands and staying away from all the, social distancing. But, Dan, I remember as a kid, I had my Atari 2600, and, my parents, it was great social bonding, family time, where my parents would watch and say, and you talked about the agility and the ability to use all those different buttons. So my agility ended with the Atari 2600, or maybe the Sega or the Nintendo NES, which had the 2 buttons, maybe the Sega Genesis. But I think it's a great way for bonding with family members. And I just go back to what I was talking about with Alex Ovechkin from the National Hockey League and Wayne Gretzky, both amazing scorers in their own times. And they were trying to raise money. And it was fun to see when you looked at the video of the stream, is that Gretzky's children, because Ovechkin's child is really young, but Gretzky's children actually took over because he was so inept. Great scorer, but inept with using the controllers.
Yeah, I mean, we bought a Nintendo Switch well before any of this happened, with the idea that some of the games we might be able to play as a family. When my son and I take a cruise together, we bring the Nintendo Switch, and there's a lot of hours. If you have a sea day, you can only spend so many hours in a pool. We might go to the game room, set the Switch up, play Mario Kart, and then other kids will come up and want a turn.
Yep.
It's a good way for my son, who's pretty shy, to meet other people. So look for games you can all play together. Not everything has to be Call of Duty or some complicated shooter. There are lots of family games. There's stuff you can do on your phone that you can play together. We've looked for activities. I hate to say, another cruise ship favorite, we break out Uno every now and then. There's absolutely nothing fun about Uno when you have other choices, but when you don't, it's not a bad game. Dominoes have come out in my house, all sorts of stuff.
I was telling Jody, my wife, I'm like, why don't we get Monopoly? Now, she's not into that. She says the games last too long. But, I think this is a great way for different generations to interact, and clearly gaming. And look, there are people of our age range that play games. My friends that play games, probably your friends that play games. So I think it's a great way to connect with people during these challenging times. And the only thing I regret is that when I used to play Doom, I actually used to get motion sickness because it moves so fast. And I can only imagine what the games are like now with these 1080p and high def TVs. I probably wouldn't last very long. Dan, always a pleasure talking with you. Great to see you. Great to check in. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you very soon back on the network.
Thanks, Jeff. I'll talk to you next week.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a financial topic or someone of interest that you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the news in retirement, markets, technology, personal finance, and so much more, check out today's edition of The Morning Pulse. So until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Attention! The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has officially authorized new benefits that Medicare Advantage plans may include. To get the benefits you deserve, you can call the Medicare Coverage Helpline.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. If you're on Medicare, this is important information. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline and they instantly looked up my coverage. In this one simple call, they offered to enroll me in a plan that includes rides to medical appointments, private home aides, doctors and nurses' visits by telephone, and even home-delivered meals. The plan also includes dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost.
Don't delay. Call to see if the new benefits are available in your area.
Call the number on your screen now. It's free.
Call 1-800-757-1451. That's 1-800-757-1451.